Hey all, I thought it's important to talk about what makes a speaker or a narrator versus an author, and why that distinction is really important for a poem. So I pulled a couple poems out of the book. Um, Monologue for an Onion on page 28, and then Dog Haiku on page 55, just to show you the difference and why it's important. So I'm going to share my screen and show you. I've got them pulled up on some websites. All right. So with the dog poem, the author is anonymous, and the speaker is a dog. So the speaker is the person or the thing in the poem that is talking or expressing themselves. So in this case, it's not a human; it's a dog. Um, so when you're talking about this poem, you would talk about the dog as the narrator or the speaker, right? Because I mean, I would hope that the author of this poem is not sniffing dogs' butts, but who knows? It is anonymous after all. But we could safely assume that the author is taking on the perspective of a dog. So when you're writing about this, you want to talk about the author's choices versus the dog or the speaker's, um, emotions or ideas. Like, I really thought it was funny how the author talked about the dogs, like what dogs do, right? Um, the dog in this case is the speaker. In the Onion one, um, the author, she talks about uh, an onion from the perspective of an onion, and you can argue too that it's about humanity a little bit too, or maybe you could argue it's about the experiences that the speaker has gone through. But it's really important to distinguish this because we do not want to assume that the author has gone through these same experiences. A poem can be an expression that does not necessarily connect with the author's personal biography, meaning like the author doesn't necessarily have to go through something to write about it, from that perspective, right? For instance, I've written poems from the perspective of women, right? You can write the perspective of an onion. Um, so it's really important to know, like, the onion in this case is the narrator or the speaker, and the author is writing about that perspective. It doesn't necessarily mean it's hers. Um, so that's kind of it. But it's just really important to keep that distinction in mind, especially if you guys take a poetry workshop, because you will be assessing and talking about other people's poems. And if you talk about it as if it happened to the people, it's going to be very awkward for them, probably. Because, like, let's say I write a poem like the dog one, and you totally miss the fact that it's a dog. Let's say it was named something um, less apparent that it's a dog. Let's say it just says haiku, right? Um, you don't want to assume the speaker is the author. Again, you don't want to assume the author is going around sniffing dog butts. So again, just when you're writing, keep that in mind. Make sure that you're making that distinction. And if you have any questions about speaker versus author, let me know. I can add to this or change it. But yeah, that's basically it. Just know that there's a distinction between the person that wrote it and the things and the perspectives they're taking in their writing. All right, hope that helped. Bye.